Finally say the words that I never thought I would ever say. Well, I don't think I can because there's a part of me that don't want to accept this, but I think Doctor Who needs a timeout. Or at least somebody needs to get, oh God, I never thought I'd say these words either. RTD the hell away from this show. Because after reading what I read this morning briefly, like I said, I'm still going to watch War Between the Land and the Sea. But after reading what I read this morning, sorry, I am in like flabbergasted. I'm to quote a movie line. It was a Jerry Lewis movie. I'm nonplussed. My plus has never been so non. Ugh. They don't like to be referred to as sea devils. Sea devils is racist. They prefer the term homo aqua. And yes, he has now confirmed that Salt and this merry band of weirdos that he's got parading around in the trailers are now considered to be sea devils. He has taken, once again, the modern show has taken a classic villain and revamped them to make them more attractive to a viewing audience. Now, while I can understand with the Silurians, a lot of actors would get frustrated because in the old school, you couldn't really emote because of the masks, the way and all that. But did you ever see a classic Silurian after that? No. And now he's going to do the same thing to the Sea Devils. Folks, you should be on your knees, shuffling along, following Chris Chibnall and planting your lips upon his ass. Because at least when he brought back the Sea Devils, he didn't do this dumb shit to them. When he brought back the Sontarans, Sontarans were frightening and they were warriors again. When he brought back the Daleks were finally evil and sinister the way they should be. When he brought back the Cybermen, look at that brand new Cyberman design. Right out of a medieval nightmare. Cold, frightening, the way they should be. And then RTD, the guy who brought this show back, is now mucking out this shit. Now, when they did this with the Silurians, okay, I can give him a pass because, okay. But now he's going to do the same thing, as we were, predicting, as we were kind of worrying about to the Sea Devils. I know most of you here on this channel didn't really, but I'm just mainly referring to people who are, if you're coming in, all one or two of you, who might, maybe unless you're an AI bot, okay? But seriously, get this man as far, and I never thought I'd say these words either, get this man as far away from Doctor Who and classic villains as possible. Oh. The one guy, Mr. Fanboy, who you'd think would be getting it right. No wonder oh man. What happened to this guy? Was he dropped on the head? Did he suffer major head trauma somehow in the last, so many years where he took back over? I know he was burnt out, but oh my land of Goshen. Oh. I'm like, really? Homo aqua. Just like, I think so. Like a Homo reptilia or whatever. I'm like, guys, the term homo, which refers to human or same, depending on which interpretation you take, refers to pretty much the hominids, the hominoids, and the way called of the ape primate that we came from. Silurians didn't come from an ape. They're not descended from hominids or hominoids. They came up out of the ocean. So why would you refer to them as Homo anything? Ugh. I know they're going to probably flag this video because I'm saying Homo too much, even though I'm referring to the scientific genus and stuff like that and species name. Yes, but you have to say this. But Sidney Newman, for one, he created the show, but he was not in charge of the show that whole time, Raj. Plus, you got to remember, back then they had a budget that wouldn't even fund one episode of Modern Who in any of its eras. And for a show with a budget so small that it was laughable, I'll put it to you this way: I'd probably make in a week or two. I probably make in a year what it costs to make a whole year of Doctor Who back then, okay? Not a whole lot when you factor it down per episode, especially when they were running out, serials then. So they did not have a whole lot of money to play with, but keep in mind, when you have a show that was on from 63 to 89, pretty much nonstop, and it was running on a budget so small that, shoestring probably isn't even a good way to define it because you wouldn't even get the whole string, maybe an aglet or two. There must have been something going right. So we can't blame Sidney Newman for all that because he did create the show, yes. But you have to remember, it went through a series of various showrunners and people who were in charge for their particular era. Like Nathan Turner was in charge of it from one point pretty much to the end. And then you had all these other different ones in there. Philip Hinchcliffe and whatnot going all the way back, whoever you want to name. No, I'm not going to try to name them all because I would fail miserably. Very few of them stick in my head. Like I said, it'd be funny if social media was around back in the 70s because you'd have people bitching about Barry Letts pushing his Buddhist agenda on us all. But look at all this Buddhist crap he's pushing on us. The Buddhist agenda. He'll expect us to all be staring at our belly buttons and chanting. But it's just amazing to me. Plus, remember, this was Disney money, so I think it kind of felt like, well, I got the money, let's do it. Ha ha. Meanwhile, Chibnall brings back the Sea Devils. They look like sea devils. Folks, sea devils were not meant to be falling in love with humans, making big, grand, probably Shakespearean soliloquies or anything like that. They were alien. They were, well, not technically alien, but they were an entirely different species of, people who lived on this planet altogether. Matter of fact, a long time, they for a while, they did have what was called the Silurian hypothesis. What if there were other civilizations on this planet? I die laughing when you got guys like Neil deGrasse Tyson, saying, there was no previous civilization on this planet. I'm like, oh, so you invented a time machine. Because if you watch any or do any research data, within 10,000 years of mankind disappearing, the only thing that's going to be left of us is Mount Rushmore. The pyramids will probably be standing there for the most part. And maybe Hoover Dam. All the buildings will be gone. Everything will be rusted back into the ground. Trees will have grown over the remains. And you're lucky if maybe you'll find some styrofoam, some plastic. But that's all that will remain of us, period. And by the way, we do find out-of-place artifacts all the time that make no sense according to the conventional timeline, but of course all that gets shoveled under and disappears when it disappears, when it disagrees with the current hypothesis of civilizational development. No, you don't want to be the showrunner, Mark, because I'll tell you, The second you do anything that's innovative, new, or could possibly, even if it's with the best intentions, even if you don't think it fits an agenda, someone's going to say it fits an agenda and that you have a deliberate plan to destroy their brain. Because it's all they've got to live on. I don't know. The thing is, everybody's jumping on this thing about Moffat coming back, and it's like, no, Moffat will not come near this show again. Not with a 50-foot pole. Well, RTD left because he was burned out and he was getting bullshit. He mainly left because he was burned out. Moffat left for the most part because, let me see, when your family members and your wife and all that are being threatened over storylines on a TV show, it's time to bail. And I don't blame him one bit. And trust me, I don't agree with Moffat on a lot of things. The Dalek, like I said, over the RTD and Moffat era, Daleks became a laughing gag. They were overused. Sontarans became a joke. Time traveling is just a theory. Well, guess what? So is teleportation. Guess what, guys? We've been doing it on an atomic level. And once they figure that out, maybe another couple centuries, you'll be beaming up and down. You see, everybody says it's impossible, right? Like the speed, you can't break the sound barrier. We've done it. There were engineers telling, and I think it was physicists, engineers, a few other people, were telling Henry Ford, you can't build an enclosed vehicle that goes faster than 30-something miles an hour. I think it was 34 miles per hour. Why? Because all the air will be sucked out. Everyone in the car will die of suffocation. Exactly. Thank you. It may not be possible now, but begin to think. There's a lot of out-of-place artifacts being found. What if some future civilization has invented the shit? Wouldn't that be funny if it turns out the Mandela effect just wasn't this weird psychosis thing where people think something went one way and it didn't, but it actually had, but since we have some tiny little bit of, sense above regular linear time, that we're noticing the differences now? Ooh. Someday, we might even get out there into the universe and walk on the planet Baldus. A very, very barren and distant place. It is said the core of this world is hollow, and that there is no intelligent life whatsoever. Okay, like I said, a lot of people, like I said, warp speed, that warp drive is more than just a thing. It's an actual concept. And when you read into how some of the stuff Bob Lazar was discussing and how gravity waves work and all that, how he believes the critters who've been visiting this planet have learned to manipulate gravity. Once you do that, you can literally move. That's why their ships and all that were able to do what they do, and we catch them doing it. Move at 1,000 miles an hour and stop, because when you're inside the gravity wave, gravity does not affect you. Therefore, there's no G effect, which means you don't need inertial dampeners, as they say on Star Trek. So kind of scary, ain't it? So no, nothing's impossible. It's just, to us, it seems magic and it seems impossible, but look at all the things we have now. Right now in my hand, as I'm talking to you across the world, I'm holding more computational power in my hand than probably all the computers put together to send all the missions to the moon. Right now, we have a satellite, well, not a satellite, we have a probe, Voyager. It's like how many billion miles away, and it's still running on a hard drive, a tape drive, I think, using Fortran. And look at how far it is now. So not everything's impossible. Just improbable at the moment. Oh, well. All I can say is this. I'm going to try to remain optimistic, but I'm really worried about RTD. I think the man's lost the plot. I'm not kidding at this point. Maybe he needs to be sectioned. I don't know. But either way, it's time for me to go inside. So please be kind, be calm, be safe. Take care, everybody. We'll catch you all in the future. Enjoy the rest of your day. It's Wednesday. Yay! Have a good one, everyone.